Imagine this: a man who conquered Europe, crowned himself emperor, and reshaped the world. Yet, in a single muddy field, under relentless rain, his empire crumbles in hours. This is the story of Napoleon Bonaparte's final defeat at Waterloo in 1815, a battle where a stormy delay and unexpected allies turned the tide of history. Welcome to the Emperor Who Lost an Empire. If you love epic tales of rise and fall, hit that like button and subscribe for more historical deep dives. Let's march into the chaos. To understand Waterloo, we must rewind to Napoleon's meteoric rise. Born in 1769 on the island of Corsica, Napoleon was a brilliant military strategist who rose through the ranks during the French Revolution. By 1799, he seized power in a coup, declaring himself first consul. 5 years later, in a lavish ceremony at Notre Dame Cathedral, he crowned himself Emperor Napoleon I, snatching the crown from the Pope's hands to show he answered to no one but himself. His army swept across Europe like a wildfire. Victories at Marengo, Austerlitz, and Jena made him master of the continent. He redrew maps, imposed the Napoleonic Code, laws that championed equality and meritocracy, and even sold Louisiana to the United States to fund his wars. But ambition has its price. In 1812, his disastrous invasion of Russia cost him 500,000 men, to winter and scorched earth. By 1814, a coalition of European powers, Britain, Prussia, Austria, and Russia, forced him to abdicate. Exiled to the tiny island of Elba, off Italy's coast, Napoleon seemed finished. Exile couldn't contain a man like Napoleon. In March 1815, he escaped Elba with a small band of loyalists and landed in France. What followed was the stuff of legends, the 100 Days. As he marched toward Paris, troops sent to arrest him defected en masse. "Soldier," he proclaimed, "if any of you will shoot his emperor, do it now." Instead, they cheered, "Vive l'Empereur!" King Louis XVIII fled, and Napoleon reclaimed the throne without firing a shot. But Europe trembled. The Seventh Coalition formed swiftly, Britain under the Duke of Wellington, Prussia led by Field Marshal Blücher, and others. Napoleon knew he had to strike first. He assembled the Armée du Nord, 120,000 battle-hardened veterans, and crossed into Belgium, aiming to divide and conquer the Allies before they could unite. On June 16th, he won minor victories at Ligny against the Prussians and Quatre Bras against the British. But these were mere skirmishes. The real storm was brewing at a crossroads village called Waterloo. June 18th, 1815, dawn breaks over the fields south of Brussels. Napoleon's army faces Wellington's multinational force of 68,000, British, Dutch, Belgians, and Germans entrenched on a ridge. To the east, Blücher's Prussians, battered but not broken, are regrouping. Napoleon planned a swift assault at 9 a.m., using his superior artillery to soften the enemy lines before infantry charges. But fate, or rather the weather, intervened. Torrential rain had poured all night, turning the battlefield into a quagmire. Cannon wheels sank in mud, horses slipped, and troops shivered in soaked uniforms. Napoleon, ever the tactician, delayed the attack until 11:30 a.m. to let the ground dry. "This rain is my enemy," he reportedly muttered. Little did he know, those precious hours would seal his doom. While the French waited, Blücher's Prussians marched relentlessly toward the fight, promised to reinforce Wellington. The battle erupts with a diversionary attack on Hougoumont farmhouse, a key British stronghold on Wellington's right flank. French troops under Napoleon's brother Jérôme assault it fiercely, but the defenders, mostly British guards, hold firm in a bloody house-to-house fight. It's a sideshow, but it drains French resources. At 1:30 p.m., the main assault. 18,000 French infantry under Marshal d'Erlon march in dense columns toward Wellington's center. Drums beat, eagles gleam on standards, but the muddy slopes slow them. British artillery rips holes in their ranks, and as they crest the ridge, Scottish Highlanders countercharge with bayonets. "Scotland forever," they roar. The French falter, then break, thousands captured or killed. Napoleon, watching from La Belle Alliance farmhouse, remains calm. He unleashes his heavy cavalry, cuirassiers in gleaming breastplates, led by Marshal Ney. They thunder up the slope, but without infantry support. They're mowed down by British squares, soldiers forming hollow boxes, bristling with bayonets. Horses refuse to charge the walls of steel. Riders are picked off. Ney's charges fail spectacularly, costing thousands. By mid-afternoon, the Prussians appear on the horizon. Blücher, that old fox at 72, had outmaneuvered Napoleon's pursuing forces under Grouchy. "Forward, lads," Blücher urges. Their arrival hits the French right flank like a hammer. Napoleon diverts troops to hold them at Plancenoit village, but it's a desperate scramble. Around 4 p.m., the rain-delayed ground finally firms enough for Napoleon's artillery to pound effectively. He captures La Haye Sainte farm in the center, opening a gap. Sensing victory, he commits his elite Imperial Guard, undefeated veterans, the Immortals, for a final push. At 7:30 p.m., 5,000 grenadiers march up the ridge in eerie silence, bayonets fixed. Wellington, hat in hand, rallies his line. "Now, Maitland, now's your time." Hidden British guards rise from the grass and unleash volleys at point-blank range. The guard recoils for the first time in history. "La garde recule," cries ripple through the French ranks. The guard retreats. Panic spreads. With Prussians now fully engaged, the French army disintegrates. Napoleon, on his white horse Marengo, tries to rally them, but it's futile. Sauve qui peut. Every man for himself. The rout is total. 25,000 French dead or wounded versus 23,000 Allied casualties. As night falls, Wellington and Blücher meet at La Belle Alliance, shaking hands. "What a pounding," Wellington says. Napoleon flees in a carriage, his dreams shattered. Waterloo wasn't just a battle, it ended an era. Napoleon abdicated again on June 22nd, surrendering to the British. Exiled to remote St. Helena in the South Atlantic, he spent his last years dictating memoirs, gardening, and reflecting. He died in 1821, likely from stomach cancer, at age 51, whispering, "France Army, head of the army." The Congress of Vienna redrew Europe, restoring monarchies and creating a balance of power that lasted decades. Waterloo birthed legends. Wellington became a hero, Blücher a Prussian icon. Even today, meeting one's Waterloo means facing ultimate defeat. But Napoleon's legacy endures. He spread revolutionary ideals, liberty, equality across Europe, modernized laws, and inspired leaders from Simon Bolivar to modern strategists. Was he a tyrant or a visionary? History debates, but one thing's clear. In those rainy hours, an empire fell. So, what if the rain hadn't delayed him? What if the Prussians arrived late? Waterloo hinged on moments, proving how fragile empires can be. Thanks for watching. What do you think? Genius or madman? Drop your thoughts in the comments. If you enjoyed this, hit subscribe, turn on notifications, and share with a history buff. Until next time, remember, history isn't just dates, it's drama. Vive l'histoire.